Hey guys, it's Penny with Our Crazy Adventures in Autism Land. Today we are going to talk about teaching without textbooks. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can educate your child without using a textbook. So I know what you're thinking. Can you really educate your child without a textbook? Yes, you really can teach without textbooks. There are many different ways to do it. You can unschool, you can game school, you can use living books, you can homeschool using Disney parks, you can do all kinds, you can do Montessori without a textbook. All of it can be done in all of the major categories that without actually breaking open a textbook. You will hear me say throughout this whole session that play is learning because play is learning. Every time your child touches something or sees something or hears something or uses any of the five senses, they are learning something. So you just need to learn how to take that, what they're learning, and make it stick in their brain. And that's all you have to do to teach without textbooks. I know you're thinking, yeah, Penny, you are crazy. Your elevator doesn't go to the top floor. No, I'm serious. You don't have to buy not one textbook in order to teach your child. I touched on it in the previous slide. You can do game schooling, which is just simply teaching your child by playing games. You can also do Charlotte Mason is a great one for no textbooks. You use living books, you use experiments and really nature, really hands-on things. I already said experiments, so anytime you can teach a child how something works and capture their interest and really solidify it in their brain by showing them exactly how to do it, you are teaching them. Field trips are a great way to teach. I have a series homeschooling using Disney parks. One year we didn't open a textbook. Everything we learned came from visiting a Disney park. Unschooling, of course, is a little different from teaching without a textbook because unschooling is sort of like delight directed. So you let your child figure out what they're interested in and then they learn about it. Um, Sort of a unschooler. I like the theory of unschooling. I just, I get fearful that my kids aren't learning enough. So I have to have sort of a game plan, like an outline, I guess you would say, for the year. Travel, excellent way to teach without a textbook. Your child will learn more through travel than they could have learned the entire year sitting in a classroom or even sitting at your house going through a dry textbook. So, if you're not familiar with teaching without a textbook, STEM is the one area that you could do this easily with. STEM, of course, being science, technology, engineering, math. They also have STEAM, which you put art in there too, but a lot of people do STEM. These three resources, Imagineering in a Box, Khan Academy, and Pinterest, will have everything you need to teach this particular subject without a textbook. Imagineering in a Box, of course, is a Disney themed um, resource where they take you through what an Imagineer does at Disney. You design a ride, you figure out the engineering behind it, how it works, how you can fit it into a land, and all that stuff. So if your child's interested in Disney, it's great because it's Disney themed. If your child is not interested in Disney, it's still great because it's a great program. Khan Academy, you should be using whether or not you have a textbook. It's a fantastic resource to help with kids who don't understand the subject or don't understand the principle you're trying to teach. They have videos, they have classes, they have everything you need to find out to help your child learn that particular process. Pinterest, type in STEM, thousands of projects will come up. All hands on, it'll give you tons of ideas. You can't go wrong with Pinterest. So, like I said, STEM is a really easy subject to just go ahead and dive in without a textbook. It gives you some confidence, you'll learn what you're doing, and then you can sort of slide it over to other subjects. Okay, so we've done some STEM without a textbook and we're feeling good. We think we got this, so we're going to move right over to math. Math is the second easiest one to go ahead and do without a textbook because there are several resources and you can kind of see where your child's going without a textbook. It's pretty easy to know if your child can multiply, if your child can add. They need to, know how to take change, things like that. So Khan Academy actually started out being a math website where people went when they didn't understand the concepts in math and they needed a little bit more help. So you can do an entire year of just Khan Academy, and it's all free. So you can just go ahead and download whatever you want to work on for free. We spent an entire year working on multiplication tables, making sure we could do long division and addition, subtraction, all that. Sort of sheltering in or cementing in, excuse me, the basic concepts that you need for higher level math. Khan Academy does have higher level math as well. Games are a great way to teach math. Homeschoolgameschool.com is she has hundreds of games that she has used to teach her kids math. Be it all of those concepts we just talked about, like long division and multiplication, up to you can learn algebra through games with I want to say it's Dragon. I want to say Dragon Tales, but I know it's not. She has that on there. Activities. You can, for math, you can make fun activities. You can have them count change out. If they're younger elementary kids, you can do that. You can take them out in public and let them pay for things um, to do math. You can have them cook in the kitchen and learn math because math, you can't cook without math. I mean, let's face it. You could double the recipe, you could triple it, you could put it, you could half it, whatever. But you need math for all of that. You could have them do the budget, you could do the grocery list. There are tons of things, the more you think about it, that you can use to teach math, okay? Your child needs a basic concept of math in order to go to the higher level maths. When you get to the higher level maths, you can still do those without a textbook. Build something. You have to learn algebra and geometry to build something. So it's possible to do it without a textbook. I will admit that in the older grades, it's a little more. I'm a little more cautious to do math without a textbook every year because you need to put something on the transcripts, and we'll talk about that later. But also, you want to make sure you're filling in all the gaps so that they're not getting things like that. It is possible in the high school years. I've done it to not break open a textbook. I have a dancer who did pre-professional ballet, so hers was easy. We did all the ballet things, and then you have the costumes that you have to make, so you use math for all that. Math is all around us, so it really is easy to teach from basic elementary all the way through high school without a textbook. So I should have said in the last slide too that it's easy to teach math through play as well. So while you're playing around, you can be like, "Oh, I have 5 elephants. What if I added one more?" And your child will say, 6. 5 plus 1 equals 6. So don't forget that play is learning and that you can teach math that way as well. So history is sort of the same way. You can teach history without it. History is just as easy, I think, as STEM to teach without a textbook. You have so many documentaries out there. I would suggest if you're going to teach history without a textbook that you get Curiosity Stream or something like that. They have it's like the Amazon Prime of documentaries. There's so much on there. You'll never watch all of it. Netflix, of course, and Amazon Prime have documentaries too, and all of that. You can watch cartoons like Liberty's Kids and learn all about it. Story of the World, if you're not quite ready to just jump off the deep end and do without a textbook. And living books are probably another way you can teach history without a textbook, but sort of have a an outline of where you're going with it. So Story of the World starts, in ancient, and all of the books move up to present day. And it's all you read through the stories of Story of the World. They have activity packs you can do activities and all that with. It's sort of like a textbook. I mean, it's a curriculum, but it doesn't read like a textbook. So you're still teaching without a textbook. Living books, of course, we talked about Charlotte Mason. You can teach all of the history you need without ever opening a textbook through Charlotte Mason. Seriously, never open a history textbook. Ambleside Online will give you all of the information to do that with completely free. You just go to amplicideonline.org and there it is laid out for you. They are harder books because they are classical books. So, or they're classics. They're not classical books, but you can teach history easily without ever opening a textbook. Mystery of History is a textbook, and you will. If I had to recommend a textbook, that's what I would recommend for history. I really like Story of the World better, and I like Living Books using Charlotte Mason the best if we're talking about textbooks. But seriously, you can just read books and do documentaries and watch cartoons, and your kids will learn everything they need to know about history. They'll actually probably learn more because they'll get interested in something, they'll read more about it, and they'll bring it back to you. So there you go. So now we have the easy ones done. We have STEM, we have history, we have math. Easy ones, you can find games, activities. There are so many resources for them. So now let's get to the hard ones. Yay, us! Language arts, which I consider language arts, reading, writing, things like that. Write Shop is a curriculum. It's not a textbook, but it's a curriculum. And it's very hands on. Think Charlotte Mason meets Montessori. You're going to do short lessons, you're going to play games. You're going to talk with each other. So it doesn't feel like a textbook, if that makes any sense. It is still a curriculum in the younger grades. It really doesn't have that textbooky feel. The older grades, when you get to middle high school and they're doing like Write Shop 1 and 2, those totally feel like a textbook. But for the younger grades, Write Shop is a really great outline for you to follow so that you can teach the concepts of writing without making them write a lot. Mad Libs is the perfect way to teach grammar. If you are not teaching grammar using Mad Libs, you are missing out. Your kids will learn every grammar concept they need to know just doing Mad Libs. I'm serious. They have Star Wars Mad Libs. They have holiday Mad Libs. Go to Amazon. They have a bazillion Mad Libs. You will never need to crack a grammar textbook. Reading out loud is a perfect way to teach language arts. One of the things your kid's going to learn by listening to you read and by reading to you is grammar. So if you don't want to just go with Mad Libs, know that by reading high quality literature, your children's going to learn grammar concepts that way. There's also reading builds vocabulary. So your child's learning all kinds of vocabulary. They're learning comprehension. It promotes empathy. It exposes your children to different experiences, helps develop communication skills. There's so many benefits to reading out loud that help your child when you're teaching language arts. Games, of course, there are games for everything. There are games for math, there are games for STEM, there are games for language arts. Night Zookeeper is a great game for language arts that you don't need a textbook for. You really can game school your child's entire education, and they come out what's just a well-rounded educated person. You really can. So I can't say that. Games go with my whole play is learning. They learn so much by having fun and by using all of their senses to learn to do something, and it really cements those connections in their brains. It really, really does. So, for our final subject, let's talk science. Science is probably as easy as STEM and history to teach than it is uh, language arts. It's easier than language arts. Language arts for me, and it's probably the hardest thing to teach without an actual textbook. It's not undoable, as I just showed you, but for me, that is probably the hardest subject. Science, you can use Mel Science and Kiwi Crate are subscription services where you sign up to get a box every month and they send you an experiment or something to build or code or something like that you and the concepts behind it. So you build whatever it is you build or do the experiment or whatever, and then they tell you, in case you're not science minded, like myself, that the concepts behind it and what you should be looking for. So then you can go to Khan Academy and learn more about it, or you can go onto YouTube, things like that. The homeschoolscientist.com comes out every month with a science calendar of experiments. So I think you go on to her website and download it by probably by subscribing to her email list. I would imagine is how you do it. I've been on it so long that it just comes in my email. So I think that's what you need to do. It's free though. You just get the email and she reminds you to download it. But she does all the work for you. Everything you need to do that month to teach science is right there on that calendar. It's so amazing. Nature is a really great way to um, teach science in that they learn how things work, how bugs work. They learn how the wind blows. They learn observation skills out in nature that are invaluable when you're doing the experiments, however you do them. You can also, for the older kids, because I know we have some high schoolers in here, and you're like, yeah, you can't teach science without a textbook for a high schooler. They have complete series of books that they have like forensic science experiments, chemistry experiments, biology experiments, and the whole book is just experiments. So you could do that all year, and your child would probably have a better science background than most kids in public school or most kids using a textbook of some sort. Again, play is learning. I'm going to say that 100 times more probably. You cannot beat the hands on direct delight directed learning that happens when you present a child with something that to them seems interesting and they want to do it. Everybody likes to blow things up in chemistry. Everybody likes to, well, I wouldn't say everybody likes to dissect things. My kids were weird and they liked to dissect things, so we did like a shark and a cow eye and a heart and all those crazy things. They, of course, learned far more doing those dissections than any textbook would have taught them. We, of course, went over the concepts and we looked it up, and their research skills are spot on. They're better than mine. I'm sad to say that, but yeah, they learned a whole lot doing those experiments and dissections, probably more than they would have just reading about it in a textbook. Khan Academy, I believe, has a science section too. Don't quote me on that. But your best resource for elementary science is the homeschool scientist, and she does a great job of bringing science to life for you. So that's a great way. If you don't want to go with Mel Science or Kiwi Crate or anything like that, then she's a perfect way to do that. I just remembered when I was talking about the homeschool scientist that Lego also comes out with a monthly Lego calendar. So teaching your kids math can be done using Legos, of course. So you could download that Lego calendar, and there are Lego resources out. Pinterest will save you every time, but there are all kinds of Lego building things that you can use. So science, math, again, it's all out there, just waiting for you to find it. So I've told you exactly how you can do this all without a textbook. Everybody's happy, everybody's great until assessment time comes. It's time to present your portfolio to your evaluator. It's time to make a high school transcript and you don't know where to start. And you're saying, yeah, Penny, this was a great idea till now. I gotcha. It's okay. For your portfolio evaluator, you just show them you just keep records of whatever you did. Did you watch documentaries? You write them down. Did you um, do a lot of reading and games? You write down the books you read and the games you played. Did you do a lot of experiments? You can show your child how to do a scientific format and give those to the evaluator. So that's really easy. It gets a little tricky when you get to high school transcripts. I'll give you that. Meg Grooms at homeschoolgameschool.com has a game schooling log as well that will show you how to write it down, and of course you write down exactly what kind of skills you're working on with that game. Most games will tell you that, or you can go to her website and find probably all the games that ever in the world. I've never not found a game there, but she has a game schooling log that you can get, that you can keep track of all the games you played for whatever reason. Khan Academy can go on your transcript. You can say I used Khan Academy to teach algebra. I used Khan Academy to teach, biology or AP chemistry. When it comes to high school, I'm going to go a little off topic here. I always suggest that you start from the end and work your way back. So, if your child wants to go to college and they have a specific college in mind, you want to figure out what the college requirements are before your child starts their freshman year and sort of work your way back. So, in the end, if you need 4 sciences to go to the University of Florida, then you need to make sure you've worked on 4 sciences throughout the 4 years. I, in particular, work on all 4 sciences, all 4 years of high school, because they sort of interact with each other. So we start teaching biology and we come into some chemistry concepts and we sort of teach them, and then we sort of teach something else. So we touch on all 4 sciences, all 4 years, is what I'm saying. So you can certainly do that. You don't have to tell them unless they want to know your curriculum, which is why you should know in the beginning which college your child wants to go to. But they don't necessarily need to know that you didn't use a textbook to teach it. They just need to know you taught it. Now, when your child takes the PERT test to get into college, a community college, they're going to know whether or not you taught it. When they take the SAT and the ACT, they're going to know if you taught it or not, because your child's going to not be able to pass it if you didn't. So it doesn't matter how you teach it, just that you taught it. And you can certainly teach it without a textbook. I had a child, as I spoke about earlier, who was not going to college. She took 4 years of pre professional ballet in her high school. We knew she wasn't going to college after that. She was going right into company, because that's what ballet dancers do. They go into the company while they're young. They go ahead and dance while they can. Then, when their body starts to give out, then they go to college, or then they go on to teach or costuming or whatever. She had a backup plan in case, her leg fell off and she couldn't dance anymore, of being a graphic designer. So we designed her high school to be, it was a little easier because there was no college, but she needed to know a couple different things. She still needed science, she still needed math, she still needed all those other things. We just didn't need to tell anyone exactly what we used to get there. But she also needed to know how to write a contract, because she was going in a company. She needed to know how to do costumes. She needed to know how to do budgets, so when she lived on her own. So we were able to count all of that as math. But again, we knew her end result, and then we tailored her high school career around that. So by ninth grade, you can know your child's weaknesses or strengths and where they're going. So sort of tailor their high school years around that. She didn't need a whole curriculum on how to do algebra, geometry, and physics. So we didn't touch on that. She learned that if she, through games and through Khan Academy and through building things with her father and things like that, mechanics, all of that stuff. I have one who went to college who needed to know all that. So I could still teach that without a textbook. I just needed to have an outline of what needed to be taught so that I could put it on the transcripts. Every college is going to be different. Every place you go, every evaluator is going to be different. I just keep records of everything we're doing, just like if you were unschooling. I just keep lots and lots of records of we went here, we went there. The year we did homeschooling using Disney parks, I kept records. Okay, we went to Disney today, we went to Magic Kingdom today, and we learned how they make the ghost in Haunted Mansion. Or we learned art because we went over to the architecture of Epcot. You can do it. You just have to write it down exactly what you're doing every time you do it, and then find out where it fits in your academic plan. if that makes sense. If you're doing an assessment at the end of the year, you just need to make sure you know the assessments and that your child's making progress as it goes along. So keeping records is not as hard as you may think it is. You just write down what you're doing. You can get a calendar and do it. We read Little House on the Prairie today. We made corncob dolls. We went and made learned about fiddles and things like that. So don't overwhelm yourself thinking you have to keep these crazy records because you don't have a curriculum, because you really don't. You just need to jot down what you've done, the games you've played, the books you've read, where you went, to the experiments you've done. If you're following a plan in Khan Academy, just write it down on a little planner or on your calendar, and then at the end of the year, your record is good to go. You've done enough time in school because remember, play is learning. So you've probably done more school time without a textbook than if you had had a textbook to follow and just sort of went through it. So there you go. There's how you teach every subject without a textbook, how you keep track and keep records. If you have questions, find me at these locations and shoot me a message or just ask me out. Don't ask me out because I have a husband, but just, some way, leave a comment and ask me, how did you do this? Or how did you teach that? Or what was the resource you mentioned in this? I do have several post on my page that will give you the resources for this. So if you would like them, then please, just message me. I will be happy to show them to you. One of the things you can find on my YouTube and my blog is our homeschooling using Disney parks, our year of learning while we were at Disney. So I think I did that last year in the 2019 session. Maybe not. I do have a session on that on my YouTube channel if you're interested. But there are many different ways for many different children to learn. Don't get stuck in I have to have a textbook mentality and it doesn't work for your family and you don't know where to go. Play is learning. Learning is everywhere. You can find ways to learn that never crack open a textbook. So it's hard for those of us who've gone through the public school system to think, "Oh, I'm not learning anything because I don't have a textbook on that." You really are. Once you get out of that mind, once you can get yourself out of that mindset that you have to have a textbook, you will understand that you can teach everything your child needs to know without ever buying or opening a textbook. Thanks for coming to my session.